All right, hello everyone, welcome back to another video. I'm definitely really stoked to be pumping out this long form content stuff, and I definitely appreciate all the small helpful critiques and the support given from you guys. It means a lot. Now, if you don't know who I am, my name is Griffin Davis. I'm a local DP based in New York City right now, and I am developing, growing, and expanding in the knowledge I have as a cinematographer, and this is sort of an avenue I'm doing that through and pushing towards. But for today's video, I want to talk about something really awesome that has been a great tool in my kit as an owner-operator, and it is not sadly the Venice today, but is what's supporting the Venice, and that is the Sachtler Active 8T tripod system with the Flowtech famous legs that are attached to it. Now, I've owned this tripod system for about 2 years now, and I just am still so excited and giddy about what it can do and how it's, been utilized for my workflow and helped me speed things up tremendously for myself and what it supports. Now, before I dive in all the details and why I liked it and what I thought about when buying it, there should be a little bit of context of where I was at before buying something like this and why I needed it and what holes needed to be filled specifically. All right, which is right here. This is where we're starting from. This is a small rig tripod that I feel like a lot of people go, as an intro tripod, it's like $100. Does the trick, and at the time I needed a tripod and I didn't know a whole lot, but I quickly started working on bigger productions, as a camera operator, first AC, what have you, and even a DP sometimes, where we were getting the opportunity to use things like O'Connor heads or Sachtler video 18s and 25 to 75 O'Connors with the baby sticks and tall sticks. So going home as someone who's trying to be an owner operator and grow their kit, I came back to this every day, and I just would really notice that I was missing out on a lot of features that those other tripod heads gave me, and I feel like I was kind of diminishing the value of the products that we were creating on our own projects. And so I wanted to invest in something that gave me a little bit more sturdiness and a little bit more flexibility and control. This thing's great. I could throw the tripod on it or camera on it and it holds the weight and whatnot, but with something like a Komodo package, which I was building at the time, to now even having a Venice, I couldn't imagine putting that thing on this. It wasn't supportive. It would kind of fall back or go forward and wasn't substantial for what I needed. And so it was time to kind of invest in something new. Now, while the bigger systems, like I mentioned earlier, like the O'Connor and the Video 18 are awesome, and they definitely are great when supporting bigger cameras and, having the tension and the counterbalance and really supporting the weight of things, there was something that I really fell in love with when working with systems like that or being on production with tripod head systems and an AC. And that would be about 99% of the time there would be a quick release plate or system, or RBQ if you will, attached to the head or the system that we're using for that day. And as a user or an AC at times and as a DP and owner operator, I freaking fell in love with the ability to quick release off of a tripod head onto an AC cart possibly, or a dolly or what have you. It was quick, it was easy, there was no side loading or fumbling around trying to screw and tighten a small plate into the tripod head. And you take this camera on, built whatever, you can just slap it on there and kind of twist around. Oh, boom, you're clicked in, you're locked in. I don't know if you heard that. I'll do it again. Just listen to this, all right? So satisfying, so awesome, and so quick. So falling in love with this and the quickness of this, and not only that, but the sturdiness of this. The side load ones to me never felt like super secure. It always felt a little gimmicky, trying to screw in on the side. But this one locked in instantly. The click, so satisfying. But I knew I wanted something like that into the next tripod system that I was going to purchase and invest in. So Sachtler was one of the first brands I went to as I'd worked with the Video 18 heads a good bit and all that kind of stuff. And I knew that they had good quick release plates that I loved and liked. But there's a couple other things that I need to think about when, buying a fluid head. One of the biggest things was counterbalance, right? Just to show you what counterbalance does, we have our camera here. Let's say you're working with the camera. Normally, this is what the small rig or what I had initially would do. You'd have zero counterbalance attached to the camera and make sure there's no tension on there. But see how wobbly this is and how, kind of sketchy this feels, right? Oh, see? The weight just kind of falls back and forward. This is a no-go, especially with something bigger like this. At the time, I had a red Komodo, and it wasn't too big. It was a lot lighter than this system right here, but it definitely, with a lens on it and a big gold mount battery, it was getting up there and definitely wasn't the most stable on the small rig tripod. So adding stops of counterbalance. This tripod that I have specifically is the Active 8T, and this one has 15 stops of counterbalance. The way the camera is set up right now, we actually only have to go to about level 8. All right, you put the camera where you want it, and it can stay. It safely supports the weight. This is awesome as an operator, as you can kind of feather the camera lightly, and it kind of goes to a position that you like and are happy with, and you can kind of let go and it stays there and you don't have to worry about losing your frame. So super helpful. And for this tripod specifically, I know it is a 75 millimeter ball head, and a lot of people are gonna hate for that, especially with the amount of weight that I normally carry on it. However, I invested originally with the Komodo, like I mentioned, and this one right now is holding the weight perfectly fine. And even when I have a lens, batteries, monitor, all that kind of stuff on, I'm not maxing out the counterbalance. And I even have a couple stops left, which is awesome. But again, counterbalance, after working with it, you just can't go back. It's so helpful and secure feeling. Next up is I wanted a little bit of tension when, panning and tilting as well. Counterbalance helps counter the weight. However, the tension helps soften, gives you a little more stiff of a pan up and down or tilt, whatever, all the things. I knew I needed some tension and some stops of that. For instance, this is what the small rig one would look like. If you undid the panning thing, you could just spin it. Oh my gosh. That's really helpful, and that's awesome for quick turnarounds and moving this back and forth and whatnot. And if you want to flip around like La La Land, that's awesome. However, it's a little bit, jittery, and it's a little hard to control when, panning or following a character around or panning between two characters. And so having tension, this one specifically has 7 stops to kind of go up to, but this gives you not only this is really stiff. I'm really kind of muscling this. I'm not the strongest guy in the world, but you can tell that if you're operating, your eyes in the lens here, it can be a nice smooth back and forth, right? Super helpful. You can kind of push in and push out, and it's super nice to have that tension. And the same thing goes for, tilting up and down. Let's max out here. That's so you can imagine this is super smooth when you're panning and tilting around back and forth compared to not having any tension whatsoever. I'll just kind of show you what it looks like. To me, kind of trying to, this is not right. I knew that I needed stops of tension, and this thing gave me the capability to have enough stops where I felt like I'd be comfortable and secure enough. I'm not fighting it, right? It's not that heavy, but it definitely is something that for me works well, especially with the body like this on the system. Now, I want to dive in specifically Sachtler's active system that's in this thing. When I first saw this on a YouTube video, I was blown away. And when I show people, they get awesome. I love the reactions from people, and it's what makes me super giddy about this tripod system specifically. And just to show you and kind of talk through how this works, a normal tripod system on a ball head like this, you would have a big screw handle on the bottom that you'd have to go underneath and loosen up, and it's really long and it takes a second, and you're sitting there like, oh, how's your day, Joe? Yeah, good, okay, almost got it. Yep, trying, boom. And then you could have the flexibility of either leveling the camera by just loosening a little bit, or if you take it all the way off, you could take the whole head and camera body off of the bowl head or tripod. And it's awesome, it's standard, it's flexible. However, this is where this thing gets pretty juicy, is again the active system like I mentioned. But let's say you want to level the camera. There is this little lever right here, and if you just bring it up a little bit, you lift, bring it up about 90 degrees. See that? I'm able to bubble the camera with a little bubble right here. Boom, lock it down, camera's level, ready to go. That's awesome, super helpful. It's quick, right? Boom, no going underneath, none of that, right? Super simple. So that's cool. But what's really cool about this is, let's say you have a Dana doll you want to go to. You're able to just lift up this tab fully, and the whole head comes off, right? Look at that, boom. You want to go back in? What? To me, that's really cool and awesome, and definitely something that made me fall in love with the tripod system. Having that flexibility of just to flop the camera in and off, it's been rough, right? This thing has been thrown around, all that kind of stuff. It's held up great, but that blows people's minds, and it still blows mine. Now, I will say with this system, there's a little bit of caveat, is that you have to have specific pieces to go into. There is actually a little nut or bolt that this sort of head locks into, and it has the flexibility to spin around. However, you need multiple of those on whatever you're going to. So for instance, if you're going to a Dana dolly or a Mitchell mount, you need to have a custom fitted attachment piece that you can buy from Sachtler to go into a Dana dolly for sorts. But you have to have another piece ready to go. That way you can kind of hop this up and put it into another one, right? you can't take the screw or the bolt with you and then fish it through another one. So it's a little less standard than a lot of what we see on film sets, and that is one caveat to this system specifically. However, for the most time I have, for me, I'm just going to the dolly or the tripod. So I have the attachment and it makes things really smooth and easy. And when I need to go on a Fisher or something bigger or a Chapman, I'm most of the time renting out, the bigger O'Connors. And so for the majority of indie shoots that this is on, this works perfectly fine for me and is super speedy. And again, like, come on. Okay, I think that takes care of everything that really excited me about this tripod head system. However, the Flowtech legs, super popular, well known. I think if you haven't heard of these, it's about to blow your mind, okay? So for the longest time, tripods just kind of sucked because you have to do a latch up top, you have to do a latch out time, you're unscrewing, you're turning, things are a little awkward. It's hard when you're shifting weight around. Not with the Flowtechs, right? You have only 3 single latches, 1 for each leg that you have to control. This gives you the flexibility to pop all of them together, move the tripod up, boom. If you want to go down, locked, ready to go. Even with weight, you got a handle on this side of the tripod that you can use to go up and down with, and man, is it speedy. Or, you're not going down, making sure you do 2. Especially at, when I'm DPing and I have a first AC with me, I'm holding the Venice up on this thing and I'm not a big guy. I'm over here like sweating and shivering around because I can't hold the weight up for very long. And, it sucks when a different tripod system, the AC is doing 6 different latches to kind of like get okay. And 1, 2, 3, lock. This one, hold up for a second. This leg's down, boom. This leg's down, boom. I mean, it's just so quick and easy. And being that these things are carbon fiber, they are super lightweight and, easy to work with. So love that. Having 1 latch right up top by the head is super convenient and super quick and easy. Okay, this is where things get really funky and awesome with the Flowtech legs. So I bought the mid spreaders instead of the ground spreaders. I think they were just a little bit more easy to work with, maybe get a little less dirty. With those expanded all the way out, this tripod is about 31 inches tall, 2 feet 7-ish inches or so, like that. So pretty low, but not super low, right? Not a hi-hat low. But once the ground spreader's off, it does a pretty cool party trick, as it just can lay out and become a freaking hi-hat. I mean, how awesome is that, right? Like, this is so cool. To prove it to you, you can still operate with this like this. You're able to use it as a hi-hat. Super low, super awesome. This is awesome and super flexible for what I need to do and how I need to operate. And no need to carry an extra thing around on the AC cart. No hi-hat needed. We just got this tripod system. Okay, last thing with these legs is that they can actually be used without the ground spreaders because they have little attachments that can click in and support the legs here. But this gives you full flexibility when you're on stairs or maybe at a bar. That I've used this scenario where I need to pop a leg up somewhere awkwardly on a table because I can't fit the tripod close enough to the subject. So right now, this leg is fully supported on the table right here, and I have these 2, no mid spreader, no spreaders, on the ground supporting the weight of the camera right here. I mean, it kind of just gets better and better. This is really just me nerding out at this point, but we'll talk in a second. Okay, I've nerded out. I got excited making this video. So maybe a bit randomly of a segment about this tripod. I think I just want to show off that, like, this thing excites me not only as somebody who gets to own it and operate it and work with it, and like being excited to shoot on something just adds to the fun of filmmaking. But also it really supports a bunch of different needs that I have, from the quick release plate to the ability to have awesome counterbalance and the quick release of leveling the whole head system to the flexibility of these tripod legs that really help save space when, working in a cart, or give you flexibility in working in tight scenarios or at a bar or what have you. Tripod is super flexible, very lightweight, and it's perfect for what I need, and has grown with me for a couple of years now. And it has taken a beating that I couldn't say a lot of tripods could have done the same, from being in the sand to, working and getting thrown around in the back of a truck to what have you. This thing has been awesome for me, and all to say that you should definitely think about what gear is going to help you in your workspace and add value to not only how quickly you can get things done, but to your kit and to your workflow. Like I mentioned, this tripod had a couple caveats. One being, it's sort of proprietary when working with different systems and Dana dollies and stuff like that. You have to have certain pieces to make this fluid head work successfully back to back. I bought the 75mm ball head and it's working enough just fine for me for the Venice and a big workflow, but I could have went up to 100mm bowl that would have been a little bit more supportive and had a longevity for bigger lenses and what have you. And maybe it's not as robust as something like metal counter legs. So there's a couple caveats, but for me, this really fit into my workflow, especially as someone who's growing and developing, and fit into a price range that really worked for me at the 75mm ball head, area. Now I know this is an expensive tripod, but again, it saved me a lot of time and I freaking bring it everywhere and I love operating on it. And it's something that if I had to pick one piece of camera gear to have left, it would be this tripod. So if you watch this video all the way through, I appreciate the support and kind of going along with me nerding out about this tripod and what this thing has sort of excited me and why I chose it. Maybe I didn't go to all the necessary specific, ways I use this tripod, but it just speeds my workflow up and I'm stoked about it. So I wanted to share it, wanted to throw it out there. Sachtler Active 8T, Flowtech legs, or Active 14 if you want to go 100mm bowl, Active 10, the Active 6 if you're not, needing the top plate to be quick release. There's options. Or if you want to just a simple screw-on bowl, which I understand, Flowtech legs, run it up. But thank you guys so much for watching. Let me nerd out again. I really do appreciate it. Yeah, I have lighting breakdown videos you can watch and a couple other gear videos here and there. But really appreciate the support. Thank you, thank you, thank you.